What's up guys? Welcome back to the Classic Car Maintenance channel. In today's video, we'll show you how to apply a ceramic or graphene coating. But before we start, can you guess which Classic is hidden under the cover? Write your answer in the comments and keep watching to find out. We'll be treating our little Classic to an awesome graphene coating from Adams, but all quality ceramic or graphene coatings are basically applied in a similar way, although it has to be said that some are easier to apply than others. Some are much more durable than others too. This is the toughest, most durable of the bunch, and it will last up to 9 years. You can check out the links below for the ceramic and graphene coatings that are the easiest to apply and last the longest. Down there, you'll find all the products and tools we'll be using in this video too. The main reason why we're applying a graphene coating to this cute little Classic is that its paint is kind of soft and scratches easily. To make matters even worse, it's a black non-metallic coating. Anyone who ever owned a black car will know that the smallest swirl or imperfection stands out like a sore thumb on black car paint. A graphene coating will form a protective SiO2 layer on top of it, making it much more resistant to scratching, and it will repel water and dirt, so it'll be easier to clean too. Oh, and did you guess it right? It's a 1960 Bug-Eye. Let's take a closer look at the black car paint. Let me show you what the problem is. Although we treat this car with care and only clean the car paint by hand using the mildest techniques and products, it still mars and scratches no matter how gentle we are. It's kind of frustrating. The smallest grain of sand or dust that is picked up by a towel while cleaning the car will result in new swirl marks. Even looking at it seems to cause scratching. It's frustrating to say the least. To keep the car coating looking its best, we'd have to polish it every time we take it for a spin. At that rate, we'll run out of paint in no time, so that's not an option either. A complete respray then. Nah, this paint job is too nice to justify that kind of expense. Freshly polished, it shines like a mirror. So, the only good affordable solution is to coat it with a graphene ceramic coating that will glaze the soft paint with a tough transparent silica shell. It's an invisible microscopic glass shell, reinforced with graphene fibers. Alright, let's do this. The first step is washing your car. For our little Bug-Eye, we use waterless cleaning methods to keep rust at bay. We strongly recommend not using water to clean Classic cars, unless they are really dirty. However, you do want to wash a modern car with a decontaminating car shampoo to remove all dirt and road grime first. Then take a look at our video on how to wash your car in the link below. We can't overemphasize the importance of thorough preparation before applying a protective coating. It's over 70% of the work. Inadequate preparation will result in disappointment. Cleanliness combined with the right technique, products and tools are the only way to achieve the perfect coating. And believe me, if you put in the effort, your car will shine like a diamond and will be easier to clean and maintain than ever before. Because we already washed our Classic and stored it under a car cover, we only need to very gently dust our car paint with a brand new ultra plush magnetic duster to make sure no sand or grit has fallen on our freshly cleaned car. There's lots of contaminants suspended in the air all the time, especially when it's windy. And remember, if sand or grit gets in your towels, you'll be scratching up your paint. In the next 4 steps, we'll prep the car surface. Remove iron particles, clay bar, and polish the paint. First up is to prep your car paint using prep spray with a clean microfiber towel. The prep spray will remove any water-repellent silicone, paint sealant, or wax residue that might still be on the paint surface. Continue cleaning your car in manageable sections, overlapping the previous section by some inches to make sure you've prepped the entire car. Always follow the cross-hatch wiping pattern and make sure to cover the complete section before moving on to the next, and so on. The next step is to use an iron removal spray to remove embedded iron brake dust particles. If you're not acquainted with this process, you can find more information in our video on how to clay bar your car. We recommend this step for modern cars, but not for Classics. We don't like using iron remover products on our Bug-Eye because this process involves acid and water, and Classic cars are notoriously rust-prone. Besides, our car only has tiny enclosed drum brakes that don't emit hot brake dust, so we skip that step. Depending on the state your car paint is in, you want to clay bar and polish it first before applying a ceramic or graphene coating. You have to decide for yourself if you want to put in the effort and which level of perfection you want to reach. Remember that you will be freezing the state your car paint is in for several years to come. It's like pushing a pause button. Any blemishes or scratches will be trapped beneath the coating and remain there until the coating wears off or until you decide to remove it. If you want a showroom shine like we do, you want to polish your car paint before applying a graphene coating. But first, you want to remove all sticky contaminants like tar, chemical pollution, and embedded impurities by clay barring. If you're new to clay barring, check out our detailed step-by-step video tutorial on how to clay bar your car in the link below. Here's a quick recap for those of you who are familiar with the clay barring process. Spray a manageable area with spray lubricant and work the area with your clay bar in straight lines back and forth, applying medium pressure. You want to avoid swirling motions to minimize visible scratches. Now repeat that same process in up and down motions to get a crosshatch pattern. You want to make sure to keep the surface well lubricated to avoid scratching your car coating. Wipe the lubricant off with a clean microfiber towel, again in a crosshatch pattern, from side to side, then up and down. Flip the towel to a clean side when it's saturated. When you fold the towel twice like we did, you'll have 8 clean sides to work with. Clay bar the adjacent area and so on, until you've clayed your entire car. When you stroke your car paint gently, you'll clearly notice the difference. The roughness will be gone. Now that your car paint is free of contaminants that could ruin the polishing process, it's time to bring out the big gun, our DA polisher. Again, you can find all the stuff we use in this video in the links below. If you're new to polishing and want to know all the tips and tricks, check out our detailed step-by-step video tutorial on how to polish your car in the link below. You'll find a link to how to polish your car by hand too. Here's a quick recap for those of you who know the drill. First, you want to spread some polish or compound on your working area for good lubrication. You don't want to polish on a dry surface. Then start polishing side to side, overlapping the previous pass at least by half. You want to apply only moderate pressure. Next, you want to polish in up and down motions, again, overlapping the previous pass each time. We highly recommend using a special high-quality pearl weave towel to wipe off the polish residue. If your towel is just slightly rough, it might cause tiny scratches that will show in direct sunlight. You want to flip your towel to a fresh side frequently. Always wipe in straight lines from side to side and up and down to minimize visible scratches. For our car, we only did a one-step polish using fine finishing polish because the car paint is so soft. However, most cars will require a compound polish first. Before applying a graphene or ceramic coating, you want to first check the end result. You want to inspect your car paint in full sunlight, which is the least forgiving. Even light swirls that can't be seen in artificial light will pop out immediately. Make sure to look at your car from different angles. Most importantly, with the sun directly reflecting on the car paint. If you still find some imperfections, and you probably will, at this stage, they are easy to correct by locally polishing some more. Only when you are completely satisfied with the way your car looks, you are now ready to start the graphene or ceramic coating process. Remember, a protective coating protects your car paint. It is not some miracle solution that corrects all blemishes. However, you will notice that the coating deepens your paint color, enriches it, if you will. It will also fill minute swirls, but that's only very limited. After the preparation phase was completed, we rolled our bug eye indoors and called it a day. You want to coat your car indoors in a controlled environment like a garage or a clean enclosed barn where dust can't be blown onto your fresh coating. Before parking our car in the garage, we clean the entire floor and all surfaces where dust accumulates with a vacuum and a wet mop to minimize the chance of dust contamination. Then we cover the entire car with a freshly washed cover to prevent contaminants settling on the prepped car overnight. Well, that's it for today, folks. Boom, boom, out go the lights. See you guys tomorrow bright and early. Morning, y'all. Rise and shine. Now that our car has been prepped, it's time to seal that perfect paint with a protective graphene coating. Let's take a look at the stuff we're going to use today. For your convenience, we've also listed all these products in the links below. First of all, you're going to need surface prep for a final decontamination. You'll also need several pearl weave towels to wipe off excess ceramic coating. For a small car like ours, 4 will do. For a large vehicle, you're going to need up to 10 towels. Next up is the star of the day, Adams Advanced Graphene Ceramic Coating and 2 suede applicators. One bottle should do to coat a large vehicle and then some. However, for a large truck or SUV, you might need 2 extra applicators. You're also going to need super soft buffing towels that don't shed fibers. 2 will do for our small convertible, but for large vehicles, you should at least double that. You don't want to use brand new towels straight out of the blister, by the way. It's best to machine wash and machine dry them first to get rid of loose fibers and dust from the production process. Only use lukewarm water and a special microfiber washing product without fabric softener. Although not strictly necessary, we think Adams UV light is the ideal inspection tool to check your work as you progress and to be a step ahead to remove high spots. By shining this light on the car paint, you'll clearly be able to see which area has been coated and where the high spots are that need to be buffed out. A special patented ingredient in the coating lights up in ultraviolet blue only when you shine this UV light on it. Although we've done our utmost to avoid contaminants soiling our car paint, and at first glance there's none, you'll be surprised when you turn off the lights and shine a small flashlight at a low angle over the car's surface. What in full light seemed dust-free turns out to be covered in fresh dust, despite the fact that the freshly washed car cover protected it from even more airborne contaminants. There's always new dust collecting. It's an ongoing battle you can't win. That's why it's so important to do a final decontamination right before you apply any protective coating. If you don't remove that dust first, it will get caught in your coating and possibly mess it up. Guess you know the drill by now. Spray surface prep and wipe it off in straight lines, but you want to use a pearl weave towel this time and apply the least possible amount of pressure so you don't scratch your freshly polished paint. Just like before, you want to work in manageable sections that slightly overlap. Right. Now that the paint surface is all prepped and shiny, it's finally time for the supreme moment. Let's get coating. Take your applicator and carefully saturate one side without stitching with a few lines of product. Don't overdo it, a little goes a long way. Now take the applicator loosely between your fingertips so you can easily manipulate it in all directions. First, draw a contour for a manageable working area. You don't want to cover too much ground in one go because the product will dry before you get the chance to work it like you should. Now, gently wipe the product in straight lanes from side to side while holding the applicator perfectly flat on the car surface. Always overlap the previous lane slightly and make sure there's no uncoated spots while you proceed. You want to coat the contoured area completely. You should be able to clearly see where the applicator has coated the car paint. It will look wet and a little darker than the surrounding area. Now repeat the same process, but this time in up and down lanes. You want to cross the previously coated area at a 90-degree angle to get a full crosshatch pattern. When in doubt, you can check with the UV flashlight. The coated areas will light up in ultraviolet blue. The uncoated ones won't. Don't rush, but work at a steady pace nonetheless, to make sure that the product doesn't dry on you before you're done. The drying time depends hugely on air humidity and ambient temperature. A coating will dry faster in hot conditions than when it's cold. Watch the right-hand area with the light reflections closely. In the light reflection, it's the easiest to notice that the coating is starting to haze. You can compare it to the left-hand light reflection or the lower right-hand light reflection where no coating has been applied yet. There's no hazing there, none at all. The hazing or bubbling in the product's curing phase is a clear sign that the time has come to start wiping excess product off. If you look even closer, you'll see the bubbling or hazing effect much clearer. When the product is ready to be wiped off, you can see a flashing or rainbow effect too, like oil in a water puddle. We tried our best to film it on the trunk with the reflection of the white garage door, but the rainbow effect is very hard to catch on camera. It's much easier to see with the naked eye. Hope you get an idea what signs to look for though. A rainbow effect, bubbling, or hazing. When you see these signs, you want to immediately wipe the excess product off with a pearl weave towel in a crosshatch pattern. Flip it to a fresh side when it's saturated. You'll notice your towel gripping the coating at first, but that's just fine. Second pass, it'll already smooth out until eventually it'll feel incredibly slick. Now buff with a dry, fluffy buffing towel and again wipe in a crosshatch pattern to remove the very last haze of the product to make the surface even smoother. Double check for remaining hazy spots. Wipe some more if needed. The coating will be so slick that on a sloped hood, your towel will slide right off. You should keep in mind that when we applied the coating, the ambient temperature was around 65 degrees with 60% humidity. That means the drying time was a little longer than average. What's so awesome about this graphene coating specifically is that while applying the coating, you can quickly detect flaws or high spots using the patented UV tracer technology. By simply shining the UV light over the treated area, you can spot uneven coating immediately and correct flaws in time before the coating fully cures. Like this spot. This darker blue line in the coating is called a high spot. A high spot has too much thickness compared to the rest of the coating and will show as a darker spot in full sunlight and under ideal lighting conditions. A high spot is technically okay, and although it may even outlast the rest of the coating because it's thicker, it's aesthetically undesirable. The rest of the coating looks pretty even though. No reason to panic if you notice a high spot immediately after applying the coating. High spots can easily be removed when you detect them in time. The faster you detect them, the easier they can be removed. Simply repeat the application process, but this time, only let the product sit for between 30 seconds and a minute, depending on the ambient temperature before wiping it off. Don't wait for a hazing or rainbow effect. If you're working in hot conditions, it may even be better to wipe the excess product off right after applying it. Just like before, you want to start wiping with the pearl weave towel, putting a little more pressure on the high spots and the edges of the treated area to get an even coating. The idea is to put more emphasis on the problem areas in order to level the high spots. Finally, you want to use a buffing towel to achieve a high gloss. Make sure there's no hazy spots left. Right, let's check for high spots once more. You want to shine the UV light on every inch of the area to make sure no high spots are left. The entire application area should now be evenly coated. Take your time to do a thorough inspection because now is the time to correct any flaws that are left. As long as the coating is fresh, you can correct it several times without a problem if you need to. You should realize though that the more time the coating has had to cure, the more difficult it will get to correct it. When the coating is fully cured over, let's say, 24 hours, you won't be able to correct it with this technique. The high spots will have to be corrected with fine polish by hand or with a polishing machine. But hey, our problem seems to be solved. The high spot is gone and the coating is ultra glossy and evenly applied. Approved. Time to move on to the adjacent area on the opposite side of the hood for a quick recap. Because the process is identical, we'll speed it up a little. Put some fresh product on the applicator and then first mark the outside of the area you're going to coat and make sure to overlap the adjacent areas to make the coating blend nicely. Then work from side to side and make sure to hold the applicator nice and flat on the surface. You want to coat every inch of the area with product without missing a spot. Always overlap the previous pass by about half to get good coverage. Now do the same in an up and down motion to get a crosshatch pattern. After allowing the product to cure, wipe it off with a pearl weave towel in a crosshatch pattern. Flip the towel when it is saturated. Next, you want to buff it with a buffing towel. Like always, buff in a crosshatch pattern, side to side and up and down, and make sure there's no streaks or hazy spots left. Check the area thoroughly for high spots or uncoated car paint and correct if necessary. You also want to make sure that the newly coated part blends in nicely with the previously coated areas. If it doesn't, you can try to only coat the overlapping high spots. Let the coating work for 10 or 20 seconds and then wipe it off, applying light pressure on the high spots. If that still doesn't render the desired effect, you want to coat the last area again and let it cure for 30 seconds or so before wiping it off. Worst case, after a couple of corrections, the high spots will be gone. If you don't succeed with this technique, which is highly unlikely, you can correct the high spots afterwards with some polish when the coating is fully cured. Guess you get the drift. The trick is to coat your car in manageable parts until the whole vehicle is graphene ceramic coated. Nothing to it, anyone can do it. Right, it's time for the final daylight inspection. Let's see what our little bug eye looks like in full sunlight. Looks mighty good, wouldn't you say so? Approved. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. If you liked our video, please consider liking and subscribing. More videos are on their way, so we'll see you on the next one.